It's here. It's finally here. We've had to wait 11 long weeks to see Gobo versus Wembley. The rematch of the finals. The two teams everybody knew were destined to meet again. And we get a preview. But we had to wait 11 full weeks. Wembley has been solid throughout. Triple digits almost every week, or right thereabouts. 120. Never too low. Never getting that high. But he's always been consistent. Gobo, he's been high. He's been low. He's gone up against really, really good opponents in a week. He's gone up against really shitty opponents in a week. It's been an amazing, amazing trip. I can't wait for this. But it all makes sense. Week 11, no more bye weeks. No more worrying who is on bye and you gotta replace them with this. No. These are two fully strength teams clashing it out. Let me tell you guys, as fantasy football goes, this is electrifying. Oh, it gets my blood rushing. ESPN has Gobo favored 139 to 132 for Wembley. Let me tell you, it's too close to call straight up. ESPN doesn't know. All they know is it's going to be a slobber knocker. I am going to go delve deep inside of this matchup and try to be as unbiased as possible. And tell you why I am going to win. Maybe. Hopefully. Anyhow. Let's go right into it. We all know the squads. We all know they're laced with talent. Especially now that Gobo got a receiver who's #1 in the league for nothing. But, hey, it doesn't matter to me. Do you know why? I'm not scared of that piece of shit team with, 3 overrated running backs and a fucking quarterback that had one great year, and now they think that he's amazing. He should have traded his ass when he had the fucking chance to. That's what he should have done. Go get himself a real quarterback like I have. That's right. A quarterback that can do it all on himself with these scrubs called Malcolm Floyd and Tanuna the Big Tete, whatever his fucking name is. Whatever. Neither team had a game in on Thursday, so I can't really cheat and say I predict 18 points for the Bears defense, because, that would have been, I'll do that later in the matchups. I guarantee you I'll be spot on those predictions. Perfect, if you will. Quarterback, we got Phillip Rivers against Denver. Pass-happy team, crappy defense, equals big points. Look in the high 20s to low 30s for Phillip Rivers this week. On the other side, Drew Brees. But guess what he gets? He gets lowly Seattle. Another good opponent to have if you're a fantasy guy. Guess what? Another 25 to 30 points for Drew Brees. Real close at the quarterback spot. We knew it was going to happen. Let's go down the line. Adrian Peterson against Green Bay. This is probably the most unfavorable matchup for Wembley, seeing that Green Bay is a very good team. But guess what? Minnesota has nothing else going for him other than Adrian Peterson. I still see Peterson getting his 16 to 18 points, having a real solid day. Chris Johnson against a Washington crappy defense. It's scary. I'm not going to lie. It's scary to see Chris Johnson going against that. But if we have Vince Young back in the lineup, you know how Vince has the propensity to love to throw the deep ball. Look for a little less points from Chris Johnson than you might then expect. Some might expect over 20. I'm saying around that 15 to 16 area for Chris Johnson this week. Go on the other running backs. Frank Gore against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has given up the second most fantasy points to running backs this year. Frank Gore, even though not tearing up the touchdowns, he's killing in fantasy. He's getting points all over the place. Not going to change this week. Give him 20 solid against Tampa Bay. Maurice Jones-Drew coming alive of late. You think Cleveland, you're like, oh, great game, great time. Cleveland is a little better than we all think. They eat clock on offense, and they have a solid defense. I still think MJD finds the end zone once. I'm going to give him 14 points. Advantage, Wembley. Then, go to their flex spots. Of course, because they're loaded at fucking running back, both of them have a running back in their flex. Ray Rice, who's been disappointing this year, but Wembley knows that he can still tear it up, okay? Ray Rice going against a Carolina defense. We all know Carolina sucks. Love this matchup for Ray Rice. Look for him to have a breakout game. I'm actually going a little bit nuts on him this week. I say 26 points for Ray Rice, really showing what he can do. Flip side, look at Gobo. LaShawn McCoy, real good season he's having. Top 10 running back, all that jazz. But he's going against a New York Giants defense. But you're thinking, well, you know, Michael Vick and this and this. It actually spells good for McCoy this week. Giants are the team that can contain Vick. They rush 4 and they get to the quarterback with 4, meaning that they have room to be able to spy, to do blah, 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 blah. Have pressure on Vick and maybe turn him back to the old Atlanta Vick where he's not as comfortable and he doesn't throw the ball as well, blah, blah, blah. Look for him to run it a little bit to slow down that pass rush, giving LaShawn McCoy about 18 points this week. Also, a lot of flip, dumps, screens, blah, blah, blah. McCoy has a good week against the Giants. Receivers, Anquan Bolden, little disappointing of late, but he's still good for a lot of points, especially against the Carolina squad. Hopefully he'll be sharing touchdowns with Ray Rice. I say Anquan Bolden gets about 11 to 12 points this week. On the other side, Roddy White against the St. Louis defense. You're thinking last year, oh man, St. Louis Rams, but St. Louis has a good defense. They gave up 300 plus yards to Troy Smith. Scares me, Troy Smith and the 49ers. So it scares me a little bit of what Matt Ryan and Roddy White can do. And if anything is showing that Roddy White, he's the only one that they throw to Atlanta. Why they always want to say, oh yeah, he's in contention for the MVP and blah blah blah. They look at him a little bit too much, but who the fuck cares for fantasy, right? Roddy White, still give me 14 points for Roddy White. Advantage, Gobo. Receivers, Reggie Wayne, down week last week with 3 points. Look for him to pop back up against New England. New England doesn't like to have to shade over. They like to play the straight up, not show too much focus on one. I think Reggie Wayne gets some points. I see him in the end zone at least once. Give me 14, 15 points for Reggie Wayne this week. On the flip side, Brandon Lloyd, Denver against the San Diego defense. Good matchup for Brandon Lloyd. Give me 19. I don't need to say too much more about it. Tight ends. Wembley's choosing to go with Vernon Davis over Tammy of Indianapolis just because he doesn't want to share that load with Reggie Wayne. But Vernon Davis against the Tampa Bay defense gives up a lot of points to tight ends. See Vernon Davis find the end zone at least once. 14 points for the tight end. Here's what's hard for Gobo. Wembley took Antonio Gates' backup. So, because of that, Gobo has to determine on Sunday whether he wants to start or sit Antonio Gates. Well, why would you sit Antonio Gates, you ask? He's 50-50. He sits out, chances are Gobo's losing. 0 points from Antonio Gates, therefore not counteracting any of those points from Phillip Rivers. It's a scary proposition. So he might have to go with Mr. Pettigrew, but we'll see what Gobo does. This will be interesting for Gobo. I'm not going to go through kickers and defense. Anyhow, fantasy stud, I'm saying Phillip Rivers. Fantasy dud, I'm not saying there's a dud in this one. There is going to be a hard-hitting, high-scoring matchup that's going to come down to the last seconds on Monday night with Phillip Rivers down by 14 points to Gobo at the time, and Gobo not knowing whether to play Gates, whether he's in or out, and he will come back and be victorious by 7 points over Gobo. Good luck. It's going to be a great one.